Real quickly before we begin, I want to thank this video's sponsor, CarMarshal.com. CarMarshal.com can save you lots of money on buying used or new vehicles, cars, trucks, school buses. If you want to save money, I'll have a link in the description down below. I know I'm going to
Northport. Providing for a safe community. Northport Police Department Internal Affairs / Division Level Preliminary Investigative Summary. 2. Chief of Police Kevin Vespia from Inspector W. Michael Koval ID #330 date, August 1, 2017. Re. I/a case number 2017-05 NPPD case number, N/A. Investigation. A complainant, Chief Kevin Vespia, Northport Police Department, 4980 City Hall Boulevard, Northport, Florida, 342869414, 429-7300. B. Employee, S. Involved, OFC Cristopher Piscorik ID #365 Northport Police Department, 4980 City Hall Boulevard, Northport, Florida, 342869414, 429-7300. C. Complaint description. OFC Piscorik was untruthful when completing his employment background questionnaire for the City of Northport Police Department. He subsequently failed a pre-employment polygraph administered by the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, at which he had also applied for employment. Piscorik was untruthful in responses and on official documentation with the Sheriff's Office, and then upon being interviewed by the polygraphist concerning his significant reactions to undisclosed crimes, domestic violence, and unlawful sex acts, Piscorik admitted to committing domestic violence battery on his wife 2.5 years ago, as well as having on more than one occasion committed unnatural sex acts with a dog while a youth. Piscorik responded in writing no to questions pertaining to having committed similar offenses and others during his background screening and when completing documentation for the City of Northport, a Florida law enforcement accredited agency. Northport. Providing for a safe community. D. Policy violation, 70/.02, v. 16, false report, level 5 violation, to wit, no member shall make a false report or knowingly enter or cause to be entered in any agency record any false information or misrepresentation of fact, nor make any false statement or verbal report to a superior officer. E-witnesses, officers, IPFC David Cook ID #243 Northport Police Department, 4980 City Hall Boulevard, Northport, Florida, 342869414, 429-7300. 2. Commander Andy Rose ID #344 Northport Police Department, 4980 City Hall Boulevard, Northport, Florida, 342869414, 429-7300. 3. Sergeant Jeremy Borntriga ID #1164 Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, 2071 Ringling Boulevard, Sarasota, Florida, 342379414, 861-5800. 4D/S Jeff Gross ID #876 Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, 2071 Ringling Boulevard, Sarasota, Florida, 342379414, 861-5800. F. Investigation. On June 29, 2017, information had come to the attention of the Chief of Police that one of our recently hired officers, Cristopher Piscorik ID #365, may have failed a polygraph at the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office and made admissions to acts that would be considered moral character violations under Florida Rule 1113-27-0011, FSS 943.13. The source of this information, Commander Andrew Rose, was out of state and unavailable for contact. Based upon the information I received, background investigator Deanna Hummerger and I drove to the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office and met with Barbara Brief, personnel manager for the Sheriff's Office, to whom I gave a copy of FDLE Form 58 signed by Cristopher Piscorik authorizing release of his polygraph and background information. We were permitted to read it and take notes and a copy of I/S Gross's background investigator's memo, but brief told us. A Florida law enforcement accredited agency. Northport. Providing for a safe community. That we would need a newly signed Form 58 to be able to obtain copies of the polygraph summary. Note, Form 58 is valid for a year. I obtained a new FDLE Form 58 from Piscorik and sent it to Brief, who advised that per their legal department they would not provide a copy of the documents and that I needed to send Piscorik to them or a letter written, signed, notarized by Piscorik authorizing the release of information. I subsequently made a public records request under Florida Statute 119.071, 1a, page 62, number 21. Still unable to obtain the copy of the polygraph summary, I contacted the Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs Unit and IA investigator Mike Mercurio sent the document to me. What I learned from the document was that Cristopher Piscorik, after having gone through 2 or more interviews prior to the polygraph without divulging anything that would possibly preclude his hiring as a deputy for the Sheriff's Office, on the morning of his polygraph, called background investigator Jeff Gross and admitted to having had sex with a dog when he was a young boy. That information was passed to the polygraphist, who questioned Piscorik about the incident prior to administering the test. Piscorik stated that it had happened only once. On October 28, 2016, Piscorik failed the polygraph. Piscorik was reported to have shown significant responses to undisclosed crimes, domestic violence, and unlawful sex acts. Upon being questioned as to why he should/would be having an issue with those areas, Piscorik then admitted that he had lied about there being only one incident of unlawful sexual activity with an animal. There had been more than one. He also went on to admit being involved in a domestic violence battery, i.e. slapped his wife, during a heated argument 2.5 years ago. At that point the process ended. I scheduled an appointment with City of Northport Human Resources and met with Deb Hope, who permitted me to review Piscorik's background file. Upon review, I noted that Piscorik had been untruthful on his employment background questionnaire in regard to questions pertaining to undisclosed crimes, unlawful sex acts, domestic violence, and committing any act that might bring embarrassment upon the Northport Police Department, which to all he had answered no after having made the admissions to Sergeant Borntrager and D/S Gross of the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. This constitutes false reporting and is violation number 4.6 bullet of FDLE Form 78 instructions. I memorialized what I had learned and requested guidance by the chief on how he wished me to proceed. I was directed on June 29, 17 to open an internal affairs investigation. On July 5, 2017 at 0855 HRS. I interviewed Commander Andy Rose in the inspector's office of the Northport Police Department and asked him how he had come to contact the sheriff's office about Piscorik. Rose told me that he sent out an email on July 1, 2017 asking any sworn officer interested in the soon-to-be vacant CID computer forensics position to submit a letter of intent to Sergeant Mike Layton. One of those letters of interest was from Cristopher Piscorik, a Florida law enforcement accredited agency. ITR TNI_N_LAAPR. Northport. Providing for a safe community. Rose, knowing that the position was a sensitive one due to the nature of potential crimes to be investigated, decided to look at the potential applicant letters. When he saw Piscorik, he told me that the name rang a bell for some unknown reason. He thought he had remembered Piscorik having applied to other agencies at the same time or may have failed a background. He wasn't sure, so he called Sergeant Borntrager of the sheriff's office and checked with him. Rose told me that Borntrager had told him that you don't want that guy, and went on to explain about Piscorik's admissions after failing the polygraph. Rose then reported what he had learned to the assistant chief. That was the extent of Rose's involvement. On July 14, 2017 at 1300 HRS. I interviewed Sergeant Jeremy Baumtrager at the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. Baumtrager is a certified polygraph examiner, CAT. Hashtag 248 with at least 10 years of experience. Baumtriger told me that he estimated that he has conducted approximately 600 pre-employment polygraphs. Jeremy stated that he pre-interviewed Piscorik for approximately an hour to an hour and a half before he actually performed the polygraph exam. Piscorik's only admission prior to the polygraph was that when Piscorik was a young boy he had some type of sexual encounter with a dog which happened only once. After discussing that incident, Piscorik was polygraphed. He was asked questions in 4 specific areas, cannot be disclosed, in regard to unlawful sexual behavior, domestic violence, undisclosed serious crimes, and drugs. Piscorik showed significant reactions indicative of deception to 3 of the areas. Drugs was the only area with no reaction. Baumtriger then followed the sheriff's office protocol and interviewed Piscorik, asking him why he was having a hard time passing the polygraph. If an applicant comes up with disclosures that they should have made before the test and didn't, then the process is over and they are sent home. An exception would be an applicant who had been a victim of some time of crime. They would be retested to try to help them get past the question they are hung up on as a victim. Piscorik did not fit into the victim model due to the type of admissions he made. First, Piscorik admitted to not being honest with Baumtriger up front before the polygraph. Second, Piscorik admitted to smacking his wife during a heated domestic dispute 2 years ago. Piscorik had been given the opportunity to disclose this incident before the test was given but failed to do so. Baumtriger asked Piscorik why he was still having trouble passing the unlawful sexual activity question since they had spoken about it. Piscorik then acknowledged that there had been more than one occasion. Sergeant Baumtriger explained that he didn't press him on it as to how many more times or if there was anything more about the incident because at that point it was irrelevant and Piscorik was probably disqualified. I asked Sergeant Baumtriger if Piscorik had been forewarned not to lie on any document and during the polygraph process. He replied that Piscorik had been advised and signed a notarized statement acknowledging that he knew to be truthful and not lie and abide by the listed terms and conditions. Piscorik was untruthful up front just by the way he completed the documentation and then signed it. Baumtriger explained that by federal law, from the time he shakes the applicant's hand until he finishes the polygraph must be a minimum of IV hours. Sergeant Baumtriger told me that he usually takes 2 hours or longer. Piscorik had ample. A Florida law enforcement accredited agency. Northport providing for a safe community. Opportunity during the time provided to disclose that which he had admitted before the polygraph. On July 18, 2107 at 0925 HRS. I took a sworn taped statement from Sarasota County Sheriff's Deputy Jeff Gross ID hashtag 876 via a recorded telephone line 941-429-4249. Gross told me that he remembered Piscorik. Piscorik was a military veteran and had a clean background. Nothing that would raise a red flag or cause any apprehension that Piscorik would be anything other than a good applicant for the sheriff's office. The morning of the polygraph, Piscorik called Gross and told him that there was something bothering him that he failed to disclose to Gross during the background interview or when he filled out the background questionnaire. At that time Piscorik revealed that when he was 10 to 12 years old, not certain of the age Piscorik gave, he had permitted a dog to lick his genitals/penis for gratification. Gross told me that Piscorik said it was only one time. Gross explained that he made sure Piscorik knew he would be interviewed about the admission by the polygraphist prior to his polygraph. Gross called Baumtriger and brought him up to date about Piscorik's admission. Gross also wrote a one-page memo, part of this file, to the Director of Human Resources, Stacy Pick-Avance, documenting the conversation. That was his last contact with Piscorik. On July 26, 2017 at 1352 HRS, I interviewed OFC Cristopher Piscorik in the CID interview room of the Northport Police Department, which was both video and audio recorded. I provided Piscorik with a second copy of the Officer Bill of Rights and Guarantee which he signed indicating that he understood them. I placed him under oath and took a taped sworn statement from him. Based upon my investigation to this point, I had learned that if Piscorik had made admissions of unlawful sexual activity with an animal, a 1-degree misdemeanor under Florida State Statute 828.126, 1B, and domestic violence battery, which is a 1-degree misdemeanor under Florida State Statute 741.28. He had also changed his admission after failing the polygraph at the Sarasota Sheriff's Office and admitted to Sergeant Bomtrages, his polygrapher, that he had lied when he told him that the unlawful sexual activity with his dog had occurred only once while he was a child of 10 to 12 YOA, when actually, it had happened more than once. He had also admitted to slapping his wife during a heated argument. Upon review of Piscorik's employment binder for the city of Northport, I noticed that he did not reveal either of these incidents for which he had made admissions. Piscorik had answered no to questions that pertain to those areas, we'll discuss later in this report. Piscorik made no such admissions to his Northport police background investigator, although he had an opportunity to do so. I questioned Piscorik about his application process for law enforcement, and he related that he had applied for Sarasota Police Department, Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, and Northport Police Department all around the same time. A Florida law enforcement accredited agency equals Northport providing for a safe community. He had been in different stages of the hiring process with each. During that process he was interviewed by background investigators for each agency and completed application questionnaires and background questionnaires, all official documents, for each agency. Each had a warning that being untruthful when answering any question could result in his immediate disqualification. While the questions were not identical, they were similar, asking if he had been involved in any criminal activity, sexual misconduct, drug-related activity or domestic violence altercations. In each instance, at each agency, he responded no to all the questions. He was also interviewed by background investigators for all three agencies and did not disclose any misconduct in any of those pertinent areas during the initial interviews. I asked OFC Piscorik if he had also taken polygraphs for all three agencies. He told me that he had taken one for the police academy, one for the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, and one for the Northport Police Department. He told me that he did not take a polygraph for the Sarasota Police Department. Piscorik acknowledged that prior to each polygraph he was interviewed by the polygraphist. I asked him if the questions were similar. He told me that each were a bit different, but they all centered around four main areas of concern: undisclosed crimes, domestic violence, drugs, and unlawful sexual activity. I asked him if he made any admissions to the polygraphist before taking the polygraph. He told me that he had not disclosed any violations in any of those major areas to the polygraphist for the Police Academy, Powers and Associates, polygraph or Northport Police mandated polygraph, also conducted by Powers and Associates. Piscorik told me that he did contact his background investigator, D/S Jeff Gross, on October 28, 2016, the morning before the polygraph, and revealed that when he was a boy, he had unlawful sexual contact with his dog, one time. Gross passed this information on to the polygraphist, Sergeant Jeremy Bomtrages. I asked Piscorik if Bomtrages questioned him about the incident. He related that Bomtrages had. I inquired as to whether he had made any other admissions of any kind. He said he had not. My next question was about the results of the polygraph. Piscorik told me that Bomtrages had told him he failed it and was hitting on the unlawful sexual activity and domestic violence. Piscorik said that he then told Bomtrages that there was more than one incident with the dog, and that was probably why he was still showing deception on that question. When queried about the domestic violence, Piscorik explained that he admitted to Bomtrages of an incident which had occurred when he had returned home from the military. He had been sitting at a computer playing video games and his wife became angry and the two started arguing. Piscorik said that his wife became incensed because he was ignoring her to concentrate on the game and came at him swinging his face, so he slapped her arm away. At that point, Sergeant Bomtrages told Piscorik that we're done and someone would let him know whether the hiring process would continue. A Florida law enforcement accredited agency. Northport. Providing for a safe community. One asked Piscorik at 1.1c had notified his background investigator at Northport Police Department about the admissions. He told me he had not. I asked him why not. He told me that I didn't want to shoot myself in the foot. I needed a job as I have 2 children to provide for. I went back to the questions on the City of Northport background questionnaire. I had Piscorik read each question and the answer he had given. Question L2: Have you ever committed a COW slime, either detected or undetected? No. Question E13: Have you ever committed a trillet, either detected or undetected? Thought you /was not Ryan's? No. Question G20: Have you ever done anything 9_your life that could target you for blackmail? No. Question 021: Is there anything in your background that would embarrass this department? No. Question 1-122: Have you ever abused another person? No. Having learned that Piscorik had admitted to committing domestic violence and having unlawful sexual contact with an animal, I saw that Piscorik had answered no to each of these questions. I asked him how he could think that domestic violence, a misdemeanor, wasn't a crime, or wouldn't embarrass Northport Police Department. How could he think that having unlawful sexual contact with a dog, which is a felony, is not a crime, or not something he couldn't be blackmailed for, or wouldn't embarrass any agency? Piscorik first responded that at the time he had not been familiar with the laws when he answered those questions because he hadn't covered them at the academy yet. I asked him if he didn't know that it is a felony to perjure himself on an official document, lying in response to the questions. Piscorik then offered the following explanation. He acknowledged that he lied about the domestic violence because it was only a minor slap on the hand and didn't result in the police being called or anything further. However, he does not consider it lying about the unlawful sex with his dog. Piscorik admitted that he had actually been even more untruthful in his admissions to 1/S Gross and Sergeant Borntrager, even when he recanted the first statement and changed the number of incidents of his having unlawful sexual activity with his dog to more than 1. What he revealed to them about having sex with his dog while he was a boy of 10 to 12 YOA was also lie. It was untruthful because he had actually had sex with his dog 2 days before the sheriff's office polygraph, which would have been October 25, 2016. Therefore, he was being honest when he answered no to the questions on the NPPD questionnaire because the act hadn't taken place yet. I asked him why he lied to the sheriff's polygraphist about that. He told me that he was 26 years old and, how embarrassing would that be to admit? I also questioned Piscorik about his thought process and how he could think lying, something he could as a police officer arrest someone for perjury, was okay to do. He broke down and related that he had just got out of the military, could not find a job, had kids to provide for and found out his wife was cheating on him. He had a lot on his plate, didn't want to lose out on a job he needed, was in a bad state of mind and not thinking straight. He doesn't know why he did what he did. I asked Piscorik if he had anything to add and he said he did not. He did ask about what the agency would tell civilian employers if he applied for a Florida law enforcement accredited agency. LEOAFFAIRS Northport, providing for a safe community. Job somewhere. I refereed him to HR. I asked him if everything he had told me had been the truth. He told me that it had and he didn't know what else I wanted. I explained that this was his opportunity if he wanted to clarify something or change something he told me that might not have been truthful, he could do it before I turned off the tape. He responded with, "I have been as honest with you as you have asked your questions." That ended the interview. Based upon the totality of the testimony obtained and off Piscorik's admissions, evidence indicates that Piscorik was not forthcoming and truthful on multiple occasions when questioned by the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office investigators. He further exhibited a pattern of untruthfulness with the Northport Police Department background investigator and during 2 subsequent polygraphs conducted by Powers and Associates prior to Piscorik's employment by the City of Northport. Whether Piscorik is being truthful in his current admission of having unlawful sexual activity with his dog after he completed his Northport employment application but prior to the SCSO polygraph, is unknown. However, the domestic violence incident, which he claims occurred 2.5 years ago, was prior to completing the City of Northport documentation, and Piscorik entered false information when he responded no to the questions. This meets the elements of 701.020/X16, Fair Report, Level 5 violation, LAVA. No member shall make a false report or knowingly enter or cause to be entered in any agency record any false information or misrepresentation of fate, nor make any false statement or verbal report to a superior officer. This also meets the criteria of Florida Rule I-1B 27.0011, 4a, and 6, moral character, to wit, the perpetration of an act that would constitute a felony offense whether prosecuted criminally or not, and making false statements during the employment process. Therefore, I recommend a finding of sustained. Additional information/evidence, 1 copies of City of Northport applicant background questionnaire. 2 copy of memo from D/S Gross to HR Director Pick Avance. 3 copy of polygraph summary Sergeant Baumtrigger. 4 copy of polygraph summary Powers and Alvarez. 5 Northport Police Department Background Investigators Report. I, the undersigned, do hereby swear, under penalty of perjury, that, to the best of my personal knowledge, information, and belief, I have not knowingly or willfully deprived, or allowed another to deprive, the subject of the investigation of any of the rights contained in SS 112.532 and JI 533 Florida statutes. Tit. 1,1750 Invest, Tour Date. A Florida.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I just wanted you to know that I am using this stuff under fair use. And also remember to like and subscribe this channel. Also too, keep in mind I do not make any money on YouTube. This is 5 hours work a day, you know, fighting for freedom. And you can donate with PayPal and Patreon. I just want you to think about this. If everybody gives to PayPal and Patreon, Patreon is every month. Actually, PayPal you can do every month. I have 12,000 subscribers. If everybody gives, I can quit my regular job and go full-time investigations on Charlotte County, and possibly even more and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If everybody helps out, I can go full-time doing this. Thanks.